All right, the last step in the process here is actually to go ahead and just add some labels. And one of the reasons that I do have you kind of kick out to Photoshop is that while you can do labeling in ArcMap document, it can often be very cumbersome to kind of pull that document together. And so just as a, just as an alternative path, right? You've probably been taught to do this one way in your geography courses, and to be honest with you, a lot of the students that I've worked with that really end up doing a lot of GIS and a lot of graphic work with it end up kind of going down this path where they can get a lot more control over kind of what the final map looks like. And so, what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're just going to go ahead and create some simple labels. And, fortunately, Photoshop provides for us a handy-dandy tool right here that you can basically create a label. And just like you do in Word, you can come in and you can adjust. You can make it whatever you want it to be, whatever font size you want it to be. And so if I just wanted to add a label that just said Portage County, right? Right? Then, much like I can do in Word, I can actually pull up, here again is that, I kind of click through that really quickly. You can bring up the paragraph panel. You can come in and I can adjust it to be larger or smaller depending on what I'm looking for. I can change the type of font that I have, all just through these settings here. I can certainly do a lot of different things. But the other thing that I can do is I can just go ahead and pick a new color, right? So if I want kind of a darker gray label, there we go, and drop it into place, right? The other thing that then, really quickly out of this comes is that what if I want to go ahead and label like Stevens Point itself, right? Just put in the city, put in a new, how about we do this? A new label that just says Stevens Point. I want it to stand out from where we were there, so let's take it back and let's just go back to a black label. I'm going to change the font size down a bit, something a little smaller, so I can come in and drop that right in the top of my map. All right, so there's my Stevens Point label. And Whiting, the other community that makes up part of Stevens Point, is right here. I could add the Town Hall and Park Ridge, as well. There's other municipalities that are kind of tucked in here, but Stevens Point, Whiting, and Plover are the three primaries, and so I'll go ahead and label those. All right. You may be saying, "Hey, wait, you can't read that." Well, much like we did before, we double-click on the layer. So I think I grabbed the Stevens Point one. Yep. So we're going to make some adjustments to Stevens Point. One of the ones that's really easy is that we can come in and put a stroke around it. So for black labeling, we can put a white stroke around it, and then we can put a drop shadow on as well. We can make that pop out a little bit more. If that's not enough and we really need something, we can put an outer glow, which puts that kind of a white background behind everything. And you can see that we went from a label that was difficult to read to one that now pops off the drawing. Now, you've got two other layers. Rather than go ahead and make the adjustments individually to those, we just want the same layer style. So I'm going to right-click on the mouse. I'm going to go ahead and come down here to Copy Layer Style. And then I'm going to go to Whiting and right-click again and go to Paste Layer Style. Same with Plover, Paste Layer Style, and you see really quickly that there's your labels for this particular drawing, right? We can do a lot of different things from this point in time. We can drag in other imagery. We could start dropping pictures in with call-out arrows. Lots of different things come out of this. But this is where I want to go ahead and stop for today. That's the basics of working with Photoshop and incorporating GIS layers this way into a graphic software that allows you to do a lot of things very quickly. All right, and that should wrap it up.